Can you swim?
Let's get it down.
There you go. And wiggle at the same time. You guys are silly.
Betsy Peters is reading to 3-year-olds in her class at Siskin School.
Moo! Moo! Can you say it, Jacqueline? Oh, good job.
This Chattanooga native says 3-year-olds are the perfect class for her. She describes them as still needing lots of nurturing and love, but getting older and becoming more independent.
I am so passionate about teaching. I work too many hours a day because I'm so excited about planning lessons and what we're going to do the next day.
And I have a special story that we're going to read about the farm.
I just love to see what their faces do and the questions that they ask and what they learn and how they learn. It's pretty amazing every day.
If you're getting the picture that this young woman has boundless energy and a true love of teaching, you're right. And she knows what's coming next.
She'd like to wiggle while drinking out of pails.
Betsy knows every word of this story because she wrote the book. Worms Like to Wiggle. While getting her master's in early childhood education, a class assignment called for creating a 3-week literature-based unit.
I thought, well, if I'm developing a unit, I might as well write a book. I like to rhyme stuff and I make up silly songs all the time. So I sat down and I wrote the story, and then I contacted my friend Lindsay Irby and said, do you think you can illustrate this for me? And she said no, and I said, yeah, actually you'll just need to try. And so she gave it a try.
I told her I wasn't sure because I wasn't really an illustrator, but I would give it my best shot, and I did a couple images for her and she loved them. The book came out in September of '07, I believe, and once it came out I was just ecstatic. It was a hard process and I didn't really know what I was doing, but you kind of learn from your mistakes, and everybody's loved it since.
A beautiful, colorful children's book could have been the end of the story, so to speak. But this teacher wanted more for all the children, parents, and teachers she could reach.
I knew I could author a book. I had already done that part. I'd already gotten a friend to illustrate it. I knew how to write lesson plans. I knew how to make it applicable to the classroom. When we got to the business part of it, I thought, you know what, I don't know if this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, but I just researched it and I found out how to open an LLC and how to register my book and I found all the information that I needed and pulled it all together, opened the company.
Starting a company also meant entering e-commerce and developing an online component to teaching.
They just take the book, they can go on the website, and it's divided up into the different developmental areas. And they would pick, let's say they wanted to do a science lesson plan, and they would go to science, and it's divided up into several different categories. It's broken up by the standards of learning, and you can find a lesson plan on plants in there, and then you can print out activities to go along with the plant lesson plans, and then you can use the book because one of the pages has a picture of the flower with the roots going down. Everything in the book is intentional.
The book is carried at bookstores and specialty shops in the area. Heather Corley, owner of Charlotte's Web, not only sells the book in her shop, she's a big fan of the book because her son is in Betsy's class.
We've used the book to introduce some basic mathematical measuring concepts using the gummy worms, kind of like the worms in the book. But we'll hold up our gummy worms and compare the size, like short and long. And after he kind of got the grasp of the meaning of short and long, we took bites and then we compared them again. And then we can apply those concepts to other things and other games. I read books all the time. It's a lot of fun. But Betsy's website really gives some good insight and good information for parents to apply mathematical skills and reading readiness skills for other children.
Does Betsy ever feel torn between the classroom and a writing career?
I am actually not conflicted because I love kids so much. I can never imagine being outside the classroom. Sometimes my time gets crunched because I want to do it all and I want to make sure I have time for everything, but my kids are always first, and then if I have a little extra time, I write things down. And this class has inspired me to write my next book about shoes.
A book about shoes would be Betsy's third book. She has a second book coming out in the spring. Lindsay is totally immersed in the artwork for Out in the Garden, while Betsy is living the theme of the new book every day in her classroom.
I actually have written a book now about, this is coming out in spring '09, about differences in people and promoting more positive body image and promoting self-esteem and tolerance. So that one will be coming out soon also. it's a good theme to have in a book, because there's actually not a whole lot of literature out there that has that. There's a lot of diversity literature, but not differing abilities literature.
Half of the children in classes at Siskin have special needs, and the other half are typically developing youngsters.
They're doing what's best practice out there, nationally recognized as what you're supposed to do with kids who are 3 years old. And so it's nice to come from a public school where you're always fighting to get what's best. Here, what's best is just simply what's best, and it's what's done and what's expected.
The cats like to wiggle while climbing up the tree.
Betsy doesn't plan to ever leave the classroom, and she doesn't plan to slow down on the writing either.
Probably in 10 years, I'd like to have published some more books, and hopefully it'll kind of snowball into a bigger company.
And I like to wiggle because it's very, very fun.